Welcome, everyone, to the Sonoma Spiel. My name is Tim Zahner with Sonoma Valley Visitors Bureau. I'm so excited that you are here. It's a lovely day in Sonoma Valley, and I am paid to say that, but I'd say it even if I did it for free because it is always a lovely day. A little wet today. It's been a light mist. The hills are incredibly green. Earlier this week, I had a photo shoot for spring fashion, and the cherry tree in the plaza was blooming, and it was gorgeous, and everything's beautiful. So it's a lovely day here. Before we go too deep into what's happening in Sonoma Valley, though, I'd like to introduce my special guest. Now I say every week I've got very special guests. This time I absolutely mean it. I have two very special guests. It's a twofer from the same place. I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves and tell us a bit about what's going on. First of all, to my right, who do I have? Shiloh, introduce yourself.
I'm Shiloh Sophia, and I am from right here in Sonoma.
Welcome. Go
Thank
Dragons.
you.
Shiloh, to your right, who did you brought into the studio?
This is my lover and my husband, Jonathan.
Well done. I love, ask an artist to do an introduction. It's going to be a little unique.
He's also a poet, a chef, a winemaker, an herbalist.
Wow.
Artists, no romance, though.
Right. Right. Jonathan, I like that. You're like very busy doing cooking and poetry and everything.
Yes. I'm surprised that I wasn't born with more limbs. But
well, welcome. Welcome, guys.
Thank you. Well, my name is Jonathan McCloud. I'm the husband of the artist and a winemaker and a chef by trade. Okay. But that also infers art. Right. So...
you're a creator.
Yeah. We are very creative.
Artisans.
Restless is usually the way I describe it.
That's a great way to put it.
We are restless.
Yeah, you guys seem to do a lot, and we'll get into that. Were you guys out this week in the sunshine that we had and seeing what's out there? And I was doing a photo shoot across the street from your shop, which is on First Street East, right?
Yes, it is. 492.
492, not too far from the Sebastiani Theater. By the corner store down there, so you're right.
We're in between Ledson and Halem Jewelers. Okay.
And our shop is called Musette, Atelier, and Atelier is workshop in French.
Got it. And Musette, is there a muse and there's like a miniature muse, or what's
exactly?
Where does the story come
you got
from?
it.
Yeah.
we have a big mama company called MUSEA, MUSEA, which is the plural form of museum. And obviously the root of amusement and music.
Got it.
And muse. And so the Big Mama Musette, the Musette is like the baby of the Big Mama MUSEA.
Got it, MUSEA.
Right? And so that is our global company. Okay. And then Musette's our local.
Got it. Their location there. So you have a global company and then a location, a gallery on the plaza.
That's right.
That's correct.
Is MUSEA also in Sonoma?
It is. We have a location at 75 Fairmont Drive.
Okay.
You all have probably been by it a million times and wonder, what is that place? It has a color wheel, and it used to be Styles Tile and Stone. We've been there since 2016. Okay. And that's kind of the spot where those who know the three-way stop sign that kind of comes through there famously on the weekends.
Soon to be known as a roundabout.
It's going to be a roundabout. It's right here.
No, they've already made their land purchases.
Okay.
The trees are marked.
The fences have moved. The trees are marked.
Everything's up to date in Sonoma City. You know, like
it's coming, but like most other Caltrans related projects,
right?
We'll
see it when we see it. Yeah, don't hold your breath. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, we're going to get a bit into Musette, and the whole thing there, but I do have one special announcement. Can I interrupt our discussion to say,
of course,
it's a boy, Safari West, they had a baby. And Safari West is the African preserve. It's up there in the hills above Santa Rosa. We have a baby rhinoceros, and it was born this week to their mother, Isha, and Papa Ungava. That's the name of the rhinoceri. And it took 16 months for the baby to come. It's a baby white rhino, and he weighed just under 150 pounds at birth.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, so basically... normally a human is like, 6 pounds, 7 pounds. They get bigger, but that's your average baby, maybe? Obviously, I'm not the person to ask. I have no idea. But 9 months...
150 seems
150 seems extreme.
A little robust.
Yeah. So they say mother and baby are doing well, and they will name the little guy soon, and people might be involved in that. So maybe some artists, or maybe a chef, winemaker,
Poet.
You never
Poet. Yeah, poet. They need poets to name the rhinoceri. So that's what's going on. I just want people to know about that because we'll probably bring them back to talk about the rhinoceros. Have you guys been up to Safari West? Have you had a chance? Oh, go up there. We had them up here back in February talking about the mating habits of animals because it was Valentine's Day. And this seems to be right off of that. But that was quite funny. But it's a good chance to go up there. Well, let's dive into MUSEA and Musette and the entire thing. Let's start with the retail store or gallery so people can experience that. What is it and what do you guys do there?
Yeah, so we opened about a year ago, and it's actually a family story because my mom and my grandma used to have a retail shop on the Sonoma Plaza in the 70s, as well as one at Jack London Village. So it's kind of like a legacy story for me. And we found this wonderful spot, and it represents my paintings, prints. I'm also a bookmaker, so many books. We have art supplies.
Wait, you make books?
I make books by hand. We also publish books. We're very creative around here. I paint drums. We make all kinds of like some of the furniture there is handmade. That's there.
Don't stand still too long. She'll paint you.
I've been a potter, poet. We're like those artists who are Renaissance people. We do all kinds of different things. So depending on what's happening, you can walk in and see obviously fine art, books. Also, there's a bowl for prayers for people.
That's right in front. I see little strips of paper. If people have intentions, they can put them down there.
Exactly.
Which I really like. Let me ask you, you do paintings. You also sell some of your paintings there. I saw some on metal.
Yeah, those are prints. Those are fine art prints.
So you do a painting on canvas, and then somehow, I love these little metal things. They look really neat because it's glossy, but it looks like it'd be really cool in a house. And,
I can speak a little bit about that. Yeah. So most of Shiloh's paintings are relatively large.
Right.
Some of them are 30 by 40 inches or up to 6 by 8 or even 12 or 16 feet by 8 feet.
And for people watching on the YouTube channel, we've got two behind you, and they are not small.
That's right. Well, these are
these are small.
Relatively.
Oh, really?
They go in the car, which makes them small for us.
Fair enough.
And so those images will be digitally photographed. We use a service in Petaluma that has, the bazillion-dollar camera that takes an incredible
super
image.
Detailed. Right.
And then that image is converted into what's called a dye sublimation print. And so it's printed on sheet aluminum, which is, it's only maybe a 1/16 of an inch thick. Okay. But what's beautiful about it is it's very glossy. It gives it a nice, beautiful sheen.
Right.
And it's also UV. It's protected and it's
so
UV.
It won't fade.
So if it's in the sun, it's not going to fade. And also because it's aluminum, it doesn't rust. So you can hang it in the bathroom or the kitchen.
I thought you painted that backwards on glass when I walked in there because I thought it was a glass panel.
It feels like that,
backwards. Yeah. And it was amazing.
Yeah, and they fit right in people's suitcase, right? So it's good for travel.
For visitors who are coming here.
Oh, they're super thin and they weigh nothing. You can literally put up something that's like 16 by 20 with a thumbtack.
Oh, okay.
And they weigh.
So you're not relying upon my skills to find the stud in the wall.
No, just point and shoot.
I've done many fails with that. So
it's an art space. It's a creative space. We also complimentary offer tea because that's the other part is a focus on wellness.
Okay.
So we talk a lot about the healing arts in this space.
Okay.
And Jonathan is an herbalist and chef, as we've mentioned.
Okay.
So he makes apothecarian items. Do you want to speak to that a little
John,
bit?
tell me about that. Because I did see there's a little tea on the right-hand side there when you're leaving, a little session stuff and drinks.
That's right.
So tell me about that.
Well, so Musette is a representation of a larger image. The larger image is MUSEA. And in MUSEA, we have a collection of things that we do. Well, Shiloh is a more traditional artist in both written word and painting. And I am a chef and a winemaker by trade, as I mentioned. So these are just kind of normally things that might come out of my kitchen. And so, but
just pours out.
Yeah, quite the kitchen. I get casseroles and hot dish, but okay.
Well, similar. So Shiloh, being from Sonoma, right? But I'm actually originally from West Virginia.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And, in the Appalachian kitchen, that's where Mama keeps you well.
Right, okay.
As well.
Right.
And keeps everyone well. And when the neighbor kids are sick, they come over and she makes them well too.
Okay.
So a collection sprang from that. And it's about sometimes teas.
Right.
Sometimes the teas are just, hey, let's have a cup of tea. And sometimes they have more of a wellness orientation.
Okay.
Like for an upset tummy or respiratory.
Or like if someone has a cold right now, which there's some colds going around.
Come and see me.
Interesting.
And so I also make a line of tinctures and glycerites, which are also tinctures but made with glycerin instead of alcohol.
Can you explain what a tincture is?
Sure. So you take an herb, could be a fresh herb, could be a dried herb, could be a root,
okay.
any kind of, in any particular fashion, and you use a solvent to extract the phytochemicals from that.
Okay.
And the chemicals are what you're after because
the
like chemicals,
an active ingredient that kind of
they're an active ingredient in the plant.
Right.
Different plants have an entire constellation of things that they're composed of. And so some plants and some roots, you go for a certain set of things, and in others you go for a different set of things. And those chemicals used in solution, added to your daily living as a supplement, can often help your body to organize itself in such a way that it has a defense position.
Okay.
Against,
so like it help your immune system, perhaps.
Absolutely, whether it's immunity or whether it's allergies or whether it's you name it. There's
allergies coming soon. It's been a rainy winter. I know spring is going to be big this year.
They're coming.
Yeah. I was saying to him, if you could come up with something for Sonoma County for allergies, we could be rich.
I'm on it.
I hear we have some of this is not to dissuade people to visit, but we have some of the most allergic people around for hay fever wise because everything blooms here.
Yeah.
Temperate climate. And then everything like boom, especially once the acacia starts and blah, blah, blah.
We have acacia and we have olives and a lot of these things are they don't make a little pollen. They coat your car.
They literally coat your car. Yeah, I've had like a fine dust on my car right there. Exactly. But it makes for great honey too. So if you want,
it does.
That kind of stuff.
It does.
Eating
so we have
honey.
the apothecary, and that line continues to expand, and I have a great deal of gratitude around it and a great deal of ownership in it because not only I've worked in on teams in Michelin-starred restaurants all over the world, and cuisine is it's my thing. It's my jam.
So do you think you are a chef or a winemaker or a?
There's no real distinction.
You're like okay.
One is a beverage, one is not.
But they both involve mixing and putting things together, and
they do.
And being patient, and
it's art, it's poetry, it's beauty, it's chemistry, right? And it's alchemy a bit.
Timing.
Yeah, timing. That's right.
And time.
So it's interesting. Like you are the plastic arts you can touch. You're like Shiloh. You're like painting and sculpture. Books, you make things.
Yes.
And it feels like you're, I don't know. The
franchise tax board calls those tangible goods.
Tangible goods, yes.
Yes.
Well done for April with tax season.
Yes.
Thank you, yeah.
But we both make both, so we both make.
Except mine disappear in about 2 seconds.
Got it.
From down.
He just made me lunch with prawns and asparagus.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Oh, good for you. And asparagus is popping up right now at the farmers market today. They're out there.
It's in our gardens at MUSEA as well.
So let's transition to Musette. You have all sorts of stuff, and I also want to say you do video classes or demonstrations, and I think those are done at Musette. I think I've seen the setup there.
Yeah, so MUSEA stands for museum because we do have a permanent collection and we have a global membership base.
Okay.
So museum is a big part of our legacy story that actually really has a big root system here in Sonoma.
Okay.
University, that's our education.
Okay.
S is for sanctuary because we lead circles and with a particular focus on the 8 points of the year, like solstices and equinoxes. And then we have those virtual and also in Sonoma at Musette.
Got it.
And then we have E for ecosystem because we're devoted to land stewardship.
Okay.
We steward a creek on Sonoma Mountain.
Oh, okay.
And also the 75 Fairmont Drive property with redwood trees and gardens and orchards and vineyards. So ecosystem, land relationship, and also reparation with indigenous cultures. And then we have the A, which is the Atelier. So it's really a big vision.
Okay.
It's a big vision that involves tens of thousands of people, not just us. We're like the mom and pop.
It's interesting. Like it's not. Yeah, because people walk in thinking it's a gallery.
Right.
And then you've got MUSEA.
What is that?
And it is. And it's yes and, right?
Yes and.
It's a doorway to the world of MUSEA.
Which is about the creative and, like you mentioned, reparative and ecological.
Yeah. It's about consciousness, honestly, which, I don't know what a big term that is in Sonoma, but if you drive by our sign right now, it says curating consciousness. And it's basically an invitation for people to be as aware as they can be in their life.
Okay.
And we use the arts to do that. And so a huge part of our non-tangible work is we are educators. And so we teach around the world and also globally. We have, 10 years of education in video form and thousands of students.
So you were doing video before the pandemic when everyone started doing video.
We've been doing it since 2008.
Started in 2008. Okay. And then we did our first live stream. I'm not talking about Zoom. I'm talking about a live stream broadcast.
Right.
14?
In 13. We started in 13.
That's fun.
And at that time we coined it an extreme sport because it was like call a friend. I'm like, is it on?
Yeah.
Can
is
you
it
see
working?
Her? Can
What's
you hear
going
her?
on?
Is it working?
Yeah.
Oh. And
that class was called Sacred Dreamer.
That was our first one. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Did it work out?
It did. What's amazing is that there was over 100 people who came.
And they kind of
so it
in
was
person or like watching it?
Watching it live.
That's great. From all over because that's the beauty of it.
That's right. So that was...
But 2013, I mean, holy moly. I needed a glass of wine after that.
Is this going to work or not?
Oh, we had no idea. And so since then, the platforms have become more sophisticated and more stable.
Now it's like your phone.
Now it's
basically. It's
oh
crazy.
my gosh. And now it's sort of, we feel like it's sort of like, we're sort of like, first we were waiting for the bus, and now we're trying to catch the bus.
Right. No, because, exactly.
It's like, wow, I'm going to have to call somebody that's like 19 to figure this out.
It moves fast.
Oh my God.
Well, now I've heard that any idiot with a microphone can have a podcast. So, who knows?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, I want to talk some. I do have a listing of some of your classes that you dropped off at the visitor center.
Yeah.
And we have this information there. But for example, you have like First Wednesdays Paint and Sip. That's at Kina's Kitchen, which is a restaurant here in town.
Kina's Kitchen. We've been doing that for about a year.
And people can just drop in and
you have to register in advance.
Good. And they learn how to paint. And then sip wine. They learn
how to paint and sip.
It's not quite that. No. It's more like
have fun.
Enjoy camaraderie.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right. Have a snack. Their food is lovely. Their beverages are great. Their beverage program is extraordinary. So sit, have some communion, some company, and while you're here, let's talk about something beautiful together that we can make together.
And you guys actually will create the art.
Yes.
Like you'll provide something. I don't have to bring.
No, we provide all the materials. It's a regular paint and sip with a little bit of an edge because we're not doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah, nope. It's not like 20 people walk out with the same tiger.
Yeah, because that's a thing, right? Like people do that, right?
Yeah.
They go to an art studio, we pour some bad whites in, and then it's like, let's draw a tiger. You're exactly. It should be a liger though, because lion and tiger special powers.
Lion, tiger, baby rhinoceros, sunflowers.
Yeah, I think that's a class. We should have a class,
yeah.
So like we have Mama's Day. For Valentine's we did Flaming Hearts. We we paint the cosmos. All kinds of things.
Okay, so different things. And then also, you do First Thursday, the Cura Women's Circle.
Yep.
And that's at the Atelier.
That's at Musette Atelier.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Apothecary says Medicine Painting Weekend. Are you painting with medicine, painting medicine, or is painting the medicine? Explain that to me.
Yeah, so medicine, our work is called intentional creativity, and it's an ancient idea that all of our ancestors worked with. They didn't call it that. But basically, anything that anyone made before industrialization was made with a kind of care and respect for resources.
Like being a craftsperson, right?
Yeah, I mean, if someone made a quilt, they would be thinking about the person they loved and the fabrics they were using. If someone made food, they would make food that they loved for someone that they loved. So there was a respect for what got created. And so we just call that idea intentional creativity, and that's our global philosophical framework for everything. It's an approach to life. It doesn't matter what. And medicine painting is an idea that Jonathan and I have been developing since 2016, but it's also an ancient idea in the art world, which is painting to cure, heal, or represent a change. And Jonathan is a veteran who has seen active combat, and so he does a lot of work with recovery from PTSD for people in our community. And this programs like Apothecary, there are opportunities for men and women, or any gender you are, any identity you choose, to paint to heal. So you bring whatever you're working with and you alchemize it. Why don't you speak to it? Because that's his program.
Oh, this is your program? Okay. Yeah.
So it came from, my father, my parents were from Fort Bragg. And my mother was from West Virginia, but my dad was from Fort Bragg.
Here in Northern California, Fort Bragg.
Yep, just the one right up the road here.
Right.
Fort Bragg, California.
Right.
And when I was growing up, my father, when my mother and father met, he went to West Virginia from Fort Bragg because Fort Bragg already had no industry.
Right.
And no jobs.
It was mainly just lumber, which
lumber or salmon
decline,
and all
fishing.
that was still really sketchy.
Right.
So, but my mom's family had a huge dairy farm, and they were
in
like,
West Virginia.
Yeah, you've got arms, we could use those.
Some labor. That's
so
right.
bring them. Yeah.
What do you think about getting up at 4 a.m? Yeah.
Well, I did that for a long time. And, I'm glad I live here and don't do that now. But anyway, so one of the things, he and I were talking one day, and he said, I was frustrated. I can't even remember what I was frustrated about. I was something at school.
Right.
And he goes, you know what you need? I'm like, oh God, here it goes.
Chores.
Oh no. Well, that's my mom's idea. But my dad said, you need the hippie flip. I'm like, and that is?
Yeah, is that like a sandwich? What is the hippie flip?
Sounds good. Pastrami.
Exactly.
No, the hippie flip is what he coined. The hippie flip was turning frustration into determination.
Okay.
So it was a way of taking negative energy and transforming it using the same energy and the same path in your head.
It. Okay.
Right? If I'm really frustrated about something, I'm going to convert that into determination that my next iteration of it, because everything in your life comes back around, right? That my next iteration of it is I'm going to be more wise, more smart, more strong, maybe all those in combination. I'm going to place the energy that I just was using to be like all terrible to myself about it.
Right.
And I'm going to convert that into, next time this comes around, I'm going to be different.
Okay.
In the way that I am in relationship.
This is what your father-in-law or your father was saying?
My father.
Your father.
Yeah.
He called it the hippie flip.
He called this the hippie flip, and it was basically, you could even use it in sports or anything.
Right.
Like, wow, we lost, but next time we're going to win.
Right.
And there's a logistics to it. There's a mechanism to it. But that's basically it. And so we were speaking one day about this, and I said, well, that's kind of what we do here. So we teach personal and professional transformation. It happens to travel using art.
Okay.
Because art is a very somatic and intelligent way to access who you be, right? So you have a left brain and a right brain. One part of your brain likes wholes, the other brain likes parts. And if you paint and write at the same time, they can't actually argue. So you get some work done.
Okay.
It's called flow.
It's called flow.
Okay.
Flow state.
Yeah.
And so when we were talking about this class, which happens to be named Apothecary, we were talking about converting tragedies to remedies. And if you think about it, this is a very old concept because this is the snake venom that becomes the anti-venom, right? It's the same stuff. It's just used in a different way, alchemized, perhaps altered a little bit. But usually it's the same medication on both sides of the coin. It's just a slightly different approach, which is your relationship to it.
Okay.
And so what I was able to do using the tenets and the principles and the techniques of intentional creativity, using art and written word and personal and professional examination of myself, I was able to convert PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, into post-traumatic stress discomfort. From disorder to discomfort. I didn't kick it off the island. I didn't say, I have to banish you. You have to get out of town. I don't need you anymore. Any of those things, because in fact, it's the venom that I carry. But what I needed to do was change my relationship to it. And so instead of having a complete franchise, I sort of canceled its franchise and said, actually, I get to call the shots, and you don't get to call the shots anymore. And I hope that's okay with you, but actually that's the way this is going to go down. And hey, good news, you don't have to leave, and I'm not going to try to banish you, and I'm not going to drink you away. I'm not going to whatever.
Some more negative ways to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm not going to find another way to deal with you. Actually, I'm going to confront you directly, and we're going to engage in a dialogue where we have a repertoire that doesn't seek to control the narrative that over me. So now I get to control the narrative. So that's the basis of it, and that's how we went about it.
And we do it in person, and we also do it virtually. We've taught it all over the world. And painting, in this case, there's a great quote from Jonathan, which is, "We're here to rescue creativity from the tyranny of the talented." And the idea is that creativity has gotten mixed up with talent. It's sort of tragic. I mean, it's not I think it's a great tragedy that people say, I'm not creative. My sister's the creative one. I don't have a creative bone in my body. My mother got the talent. It is so common because we're in the gallery. And I've had galleries for years, and I thought one day that narrative would change. Oh no, I hear it all day long.
Oh no.
And it's devastating because it's totally not true. Because everyone's creative. We just use it in different ways, and some of us use it with paint. But that has nothing to do with it. We are all creative, every single person. We use creativity to stay alive. And so in our classes, we employ paint to make visible an internal state. So you actually express what's inside out onto the canvas. You observe what gets expressed. What you observe starts to change how you are in relationship to it. But it really has nothing to do with talent. Nothing to do with painting, really.
So it's sort of, first of all, can you say that again? You're rescuing creativity from the tyranny of talent?
Rescuing creativity from the tyranny of the talented.
I really like that because it's basically saying everyone's creative, and if you just try anything creative, you don't have to be exceptional at it. It's the experience of creating which adds value to yourself.
The
and helps your
messier,
soul.
the raw, the better, because when you can control the output, that's when it stops being therapeutic for a lot of people because they're trying for an outcome, whether that's a song or a dish or a painting. It's total domination.
And imagine how early that franchise is stole from you because, you come home from school and you show your drawing. You say, Dad, look, I drew the dog, right? Your dad goes, well, first of all, I have no idea what that is, but it's definitely not a dog.
Right, it looks like a donkey.
Dogs are purple.
And may I recommend medicine or law because, you'll never make $1 with that, pal. So drop it.
So there's a big narrative around creativity and talent that has been going around for, I don't know, it's a good 750 years, and it's complete now, and it's complete at Musette.
Okay, I like that.
Absolutely. You have to be creative.
Stay alive.
If you're alive,
Right.
you're creative.
Right.
Because from a psychological standpoint, there are six letter word alert.
Okay, go for it.
Left hand, ontology. Right hand, epistemology.
Okay.
Ontology is basically what is. But on the right hand, epistemology is how you relate to or negotiate with what is in order to stay here. Your primary existential statement is, I'm alive, I'm here, I should probably hang out. I hear the appetizers are nice. Right?
Right.
And so since I'm here, I should check it out. So in order to stay alive, you have to negotiate with ontology. Well, I'm going to need some food, some water, some shelter. I'm going to need to collaborate and cooperate with others. Right? I'm going to need to do these things. I'm going to need to negotiate my way through life in order to get those things which I feel are necessary and reasonable for me. That's creative. And you have to create on the fly every day. You got to, quote, come up with something, right?
Kind of negotiating between ontology and epistemology?
You are. Well, you're negotiating with what is. You're using your epistemological sense to negotiate. You're using the 3 pounds of wetware in the dark between your ears to negotiate with the outside world in order to remain here.
And it's interesting that in Maslow's hierarchy of needs, does anyone know what comes after the basics?
Is it fulfillment? Or
self-actualization.
Self-actualization.
Yeah. And so that idea that once our basic needs are met, the next thing that we need is to know who lives in here. And as long as you're in survival, which could be forced migration, could be war, colonization, conquest. When you are in active survival, you are just then tending to the basic needs. When you finally have a breath, when you can finally slow down a little bit, you're like, who am I? What am I doing? What am I going to do now? And how can I stay alive? You know, you move out of survival into a relationship. And I think that's the heart of everything that we do is inviting people to understand that you can have a relationship with yourself and your life and everything around you. It isn't fixed. Our entire life, all of our sensuality, every bit of us is a palette that is able to be amplified and transformed and adapted and increase pleasure. And we just aren't taught to know that we aren't fixed. The self and sensuality, creativity, it's not fixed. It's not just what you came in with. It's all shiftable, but we haven't really been taught that. And so we kind of go to sleep and go numb a little bit. So at MUSEA, we are kind of in the let's wake up and have a good time.
And sort of the act of becoming and the creativity. I love this. This is good.
Well, there is that. And the other thing is we're also a little rebellious in it.
Really? I don't know what you're talking about.
Actually, a lot rebellious about it.
We're under new management.
We're under new management. Yes. Because, okay, so first of all, just like your dad said, there's no money in it. Right?
Right.
So the thing is, though, nobody else has a franchise over you either. No corporation, mysterious shadow entity, nobody, nowhere is making $1 off you. And they generally don't like that. They don't like autonomy and independent thinking, and they don't like sovereignty. Oh my gosh. You know, why don't you just go along and get along? Just comply. Everything will be so much easier. We'll reward you. We will reward you generously. And sometimes sovereignty comes with a price. And that price doesn't mean you have to abandon station on all the things that are normal and reasonable in your life. Got to get up, got to go to work, got to do your thing, got to feed the kids, got to do the thing. However, while those things are being done, you have an opportunity to create for yourself a posture and an orientation that you're doing these things as a sovereign entity and a being that has the narrative. And then when you have this, it gets often sometimes a little bit uncertain because you begin to recognize the outside forces which then seek to have you live your life by proxy. Right? So
but people don't know. People don't know that that's what's happening.
Right. Well, I like this is so much more than art.
I'd rather run the show.
Okay. And this is like human freedom. This is like the choice. This is like this is like the most deep this podcast has gotten when you said ontological and epistemological and Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
I know.
Which I love. But let me.
We like to consolidate this into a single phrase.
Right.
Vive la révolution.
Vive la révolution.
Vive la révolution.
I do want to bring it back, even though the talent is tyranny. But I do want to talk about your paintings that you did bring behind. You brought in two pieces of art. One is a flower on red with many red and some whites, and the other one, I'm probably poorly describing it. The other one, it looks like a face and a profile with like a salmon or a fish and a bird. People should go on the YouTube and look at it because I'm doing a bad job of describing it. But what kind of things do you paint, and what are your subjects normally? And like I don't see you don't do still lifes of buildings, it seems. But what do you paint?
Yeah, so the two paintings we brought today are two pieces in Jonathan's personal collection. So we brought them from our house. The rose was a love gift for him, and it's called Awakening to Fullness. And then the other one is also a gift for him, and it has a male and a female, and it's called You Bring Water to My Creatures. So it's basically about our relationship.
Okay.
And so the paintings are all made as prayer. That's the reality of it. When I'm painting, I'm basically praying for the world. I'm praying for an antidote to violence and suffering. I am attempting to bring beauty and resolution and literally to infuse the creation with solution and with happiness and with possibility.
This is like a meditation almost.
It is. And my teacher, Suhoya Sellers, would say that the paintings created this way are resonators. They carry an energy. And so when people live with my paintings, and I have sold thousands and thousands and thousands of paintings in my life. I'm extremely prolific. The paintings are about changing the household for people to bring intention into their home, and also, a conversation piece. But it's a story. Like, we have a painting at the gallery called Cave of Stories, and everybody wants to know what that painting means. And it's a couple. They're approaching a dark cave. It's representative of marriage and commitment, and it's basically like, you do not know what's going to happen. The side of the mountain is light, and you know that you're going to encounter some of these things. There's going to be some in-laws. Someone's going to eat too much. Someone's going to drink too much. Someone's going to tell a story. Someone's going to spill something. And you're going to be like, wow, you are different than what I thought.
Right.
But the dark side of the mountain is the side that we don't want to know about, and that we consciously try to hide from our partner when we're trying to be a good mate. It's like a survival technique. You don't know how strange I really am, and I'm not going to show you because otherwise I wouldn't be a good mate. But that is going to come out if you stay in relationship. The shadowy bits are going to come, and the painting is a representation of, if you would just know that inside of your love is a wild being wanting, seeking self-expression, and that's going to come out in your life. If you could just be like, hey, here it is. Let's not do it at the same time. But if we could just be like, okay, that's that wild, freaky thing she loves to do. Make room for the wildness within each one of us. Okay. So the paintings are stories, and they're stories about a new mythology, because a lot of the old stories aren't exactly working if you look at the evolution of the species.
So you have some new stories, and that's what I want. You also have a lot of themes of like female figures and sort of like the divine feminine.
Yeah.
So I've noticed some. I'm not an art critic.
Yeah.
I'm just some guy that walks in when I'm on my coffee break and I say hi to you guys. But a lot of those motifs recur. I see a lot of nature motifs. Again, you don't seem to do the traditional, and maybe you do, but I don't think you do like an orange on a table.
Yeah, all of the images come from inside.
There will be no bowl of fruit.
Well, I'm just asking.
There are flowers, however.
Right, and maybe the bowl of fruit is implied, but you're right. There is no still life kind of.
Yeah, there's definitely a focus on the feminine, not to the exclusion of the masculine, because there's actually a lot of paintings of couples in there.
Right.
But it's basically like including women and mothers in the picture.
And like a celebration of the feminine. I think.
Absolutely.
It's just sort of,
a celebration.
Yeah.
And in my early roots in Sonoma, my family was a part of a very early movement of protection for women. We were a household that had a hotline, and when women were in trouble, they would call us. And so we actually, all my life, have harbored people pretty much on the run. So this was the first time this happened in Sonoma in the early 70s, and so we did that right when we were living above Schoen's store, right up above. That was where I lived when my family.
Yeah.
So caring for women, caring for children, and by way of that, the people that we love. So it's really about love and wellness.
Seems like a lot of
safety.
the themes that run through the self-actualization, the dealing with how to deal with, I don't want to say negative emotions, the PTSD, like the negative feelings, all these things are themes that I see throughout.
Yes, it's about relationships.
Right.
So, when you wake up every day, stuff happens. That's how it goes. Stuff happens. And it isn't that it's not going to happen, because, that's not how it goes. We know that things are going to happen.
Things are going to happen.
But at that moment that they do, how are you in relationship with them? And what kind of narrative do you have with them? Do they sort of get to run the show? Wow, this thing happened, and now I'm bummed out. I'm going to have a bad day at work, and like rain, right? And like gloom and doom all day long.
Right.
And so this circumstance has now just like thunk, right? And now it's running the show and the story,
right?
Because we all live in story. If I ask you, well, where are you from, and who are you, and tell me about your parents, everybody's got a story,
right?
But that narrative, that internal narrative, is what we're examining, and how we're in relationship to what happens,
right?
And when we're not doing that, we're partying.
Yeah. Well, I'm a winemaker. Hello.
So that's the other part of our thing.
What kind of wine do you make? Tell me that.
So I grow and make only one varietal, which is Barbera.
Okay.
Right? But I think I'm the only person in the entire Carneros of Sonoma that grows Barbera. And the only reason I can pull it off is because we have 17 beautiful coastal redwood trees on our western
picket. Protect the wind.
And there's my windbreak.
Barbera is typically not... Carneros is a cold, windy area. A lot of Pinot, a lot of Chard.
Yes, of course.
You think of sparkling wine. So Barbera down there, and usually I think Barbera is further up valley. So that is interesting that you're down in Carneros.
So it's not about the cold; it's more about the wind.
Oh, it's the wind. Yeah.
So I just want to mention that We have celebrations, we have parties, we have concerts. Jonathan does supper club, we have performance, we do all kinds of things at the 75 Fairmont Drive place. But we also have an artist in residence, Rose Hill, an African-American elder who came about a year ago.
That's
and
right.
so when you come to visit us there, you can visit her studio. We also have our museum there.
Down at MUSEA.
Yeah, at 75 Fairmont Drive.
Which is, just for those who don't know, it's south of the city of Sonoma. If you're coming up from San Francisco, you pass MUSEA first before you come to the city.
That's right.
And if you are unfortunately leaving the city of Sonoma, you will have the chance to go see that. Yes. But why would you leave?
You would be, as you're in line, sipping your iced tea in the car, thinking to yourself, I will never get out of here.
This should be a roundabout.
You know what?
It's the Bono style.
I'll tell you.
We want to transition, guys. It's been very good, and thanks for talking about the art and stuff. But we do need to get to the crucial part of the podcast where you help me answer questions.
Oh, yes.
Great.
And people send us these questions, right?
That's right.
Oh, perfect.
So I'm going to do the introduction. You're going to help me. Ready? So this is now called We Get Questions. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. So we have visitor centers. We have Facebook. People send us questions. They email us. They even walk in, ask us all sorts of stuff. I'm going to read some of these questions. You're going to help me. Richard, you ready?
Ready.
Okay. You ready, Shiloh?
It just depends on the question, actually.
You don't actually have to know the answer. But we do have volunteers and professional staff that can also help you. So here's what we got today. This week. We are bringing a group of 60 people to Sonoma for a conference. We are looking for a fun activity as a break from the conference room. You can't sit in the conference room all day, right?
Oh, gosh, no.
No. What do you suggest? 60 people, a break, like an afternoon break, in and around Sonoma Valley. Come on, what do you got? You must have an idea.
Well, you could come with us.
What would they do?
We would paint.
Okay.
We would paint playful things that could happen quickly.
You could set up a room.
Yeah.
That 60 people could show up and have different art stations.
Yeah, we have that at
stuff.
75 Fairmont.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
and
so that's one thing.
We could easily take 60 people there for something al fresco. I have a full commercial kitchen there, so we could provide food.
You have a full kitchen down there?
I do, full commercial kitchen. I have the winery is there.
Other than that, I can't think of what 60 people could drop in on.
If the weather's beautiful, well, we could set it up out underneath the redwood trees.
I love that. Yeah, that's a drop in. Like, it can be a scheduled thing too, right? So so it isn't like 60 people would be a lot to just drop in on something.
Yeah, and I mean in Sonoma, it's so expensive to do so many things, right? If you're going to rent a lawn or something, but 60 people can also go to the park and have a picnic.
You can go to the Plaza, a big park right across from your store.
I think
there's plenty of places to sit. Maybe not 60 at once.
Right, but around.
Or if they knew in advance they were going to do that and it was nice weather, they could bring blankets. Yeah. They could plan in advance.
They could.
That's their spot. They're going to descend.
Exactly. Go meet us in this corner. Yeah. People do this all the time.
Yeah. So I would say the Plaza.
I like that. Good one. Idea. Have you, the Sonoma Garden Park is on 7th Street East, and it's a beautiful park the Ecology Center runs, and there's space, a huge fig tree, beautiful fig tree, that you can kind of gather under if you wanted to learn about permaculture and stuff like that.
There's so many green spaces, really laced throughout Sonoma.
There is.
And if you were, especially if you're here for a business conference, perhaps you're here on a weekday versus a weekend when mostly families use those activities. I mean, you could really converge on a small, beautiful green space. Our home is over by Friar Creek, and we have the Friar Creek.
The trail right there.
The Friar Creek Trail, so you could walk the trail, and at the end there's a beautiful picnic grounds there, and soccer field and basketball courts.
Well, you just the next suggestion I was going to have is you could rent bicycles, and there are tours that go, and they take Friar Creek. So I know Sonoma Adventures rents bikes just on the other side of that trail.
That's right.
And sometimes people will set up tours. Tours can go to wineries, of course, and then do tastings and stuff like that. But oftentimes they just ride around and see stuff, and being out on a bicycle is awesome, right? You feel great. You're energized.
I would say people could go for walks too, like little walking tours.
Absolutely.
There's so many beautiful things to see.
Yeah.
Starting about now, the east side is just full of flowers too.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Crazy.
That's great. We also have in the Plaza Visitor Center, we have a map of all the trees in the plaza. There are like 40 different varieties of trees.
They're all tagged out.
They're all, we say what's there and what's going on. And the Japanese cherry is one that was blooming right now. And
I took my first baby steps in that park.
Did you? See?
Yeah.
I think there's a plaque right there.
In my mind.
On this spot. Okay, here's another question. You guys ready?
Yep, ready.
I see a lot of little sheep in the vineyards. What's going on there?
Oh, I'm all over that one.
Yeah.
It's it's permaculture. It's also biodynamics. And so if you don't use chemicals, fertilizers, any of those kind of, Roundup or any of that stuff in your vineyard, like I don't, it's helpful for winemakers. It's helpful for winemakers to grow a cover crop in the winter.
Okay.
Now, the cover crop is usually something like mustard. That's the most famous one, right? Or sweet peas or nasturtiums or any clover. These are all nitrogen-fixing plants.
Okay.
And so it's a good idea to let these things go haywire while the vines are asleep in the winter.
Got it. Okay.
Right? So if you bring it, you could do two things. Usually, and most commonly, they're just disked in before they go to sleep.
A very narrow tractor goes through.
The tractor goes through with a disc and basically just turns it in.
Okay.
So you're introducing nitrogen into the soil, which helps with the grape health overall. But if you bring the baby doll sheep in, who are trained basically not to like grapes, they don't eat the grapes.
I love that they're called baby doll sheep.
They are. They're baby doll sheep.
They're little sheep. They're not big sheep. They're like...
Oh, no. They're like cats with sheep suits.
Yeah, they're like 2 feet tall. They're small. Yeah.
And they go through the vineyard, and of course they just mow it for you, right? They mow it all down, and they leave it not only with the nitrogen, but with the other stuff.
With some of their own exhaust.
That's exactly.
Which is also...
beneficial.
It's like compost eventually.
It's compost. That's right.
A top dressing.
It is a top dressing, and this is the perfect time of year to do it.
Right.
Because... and then they'll disc that in. And as the vines wake up, as a matter of fact, we just had bud break this last Monday.
Wait, hold on. It's now bud break.
The buds have broken.
There's the official sound.
Right. There's a leaf. Oh, there's a leaf.
People go crazy.
There's a leaf.
First harvest, bud break.
Bud break. So
pruning we do a little bit crazy for, but that's just sort of like a lot of...
he's out there with his phone looking down at them, like
is
praying
in the house.
over them.
Bud is there. What's up,
Bud is
Bud?
in the house.
He broke.
And so now, as the rains are finishing, this top dressing is soluble in the wet earth, right, and permeates the soil. And now it's, for the grapes right now, in about a couple of weeks, once they sort of get out and start getting some sun, it's go time.
They start looking for the nutrients and
that fuel. That's right.
So it's a walking encyclopedia.
Yeah, it's amazing. We've covered everything.
Yeah,
ontology, permaculture.
But at the end of the day, we're artists,
right?
And we're winemakers. We throw giant parties.
And you have farmers too.
And you know what?
We're farmers.
I got dirt on my shoes. I'm fine.
Here's a weird question we got today.
Okay.
Literally today. A woman came in and she had to make a private phone call. She's on her cell phone. So she said, literally, this is a weird question. Where's a good place to make a private call? Where would you go where you don't want people to hear your phone call because you have to make a sensitive phone call?
A single-use bathroom?
Single-use bathroom. That's a good one. That's a very good one.
I'm still going with the Plaza.
The Plaza? Well, I said to her, you know what? Just go by the amphitheater.
Yeah.
And you can look around. There's not a lot of people there. So as long as there's not a concert going on.
Pick a tree.
Underneath the tree.
Yeah.
And we have a tree now.
Right behind the cheese, by the cheese factory.
Oh, right.
That
in the
whole
back
section.
Yeah. Okay. Good answers. Final question we got. The gentleman's coming here. He was pre-scouting his trip, which is interesting. And he's going to be staying at the Fairmont.
Well done.
Yeah. Like this guy. Not only does this guy plan, he shows up to plan, which is good.
Okay.
But his question was, he'll be staying at the Fairmont.
Yeah.
But he's got an event on the Plaza at the El Dorado.
Yeah.
Can he walk from the Fairmont to the Plaza?
No. I mean, you could.
Yes.
But it would take some time. You would be sweaty by then, and it's just not that pleasant of a walk based on the traffic. No.
You can get anywhere from anywhere, right? You can do it.
You can walk.
Yes, you can walk. So
Right.
yes, the answer is yes.
But Shiloh, you're saying it's probably not a pleasant walk in the sense that it's not an easy stroll down the street.
People don't, and there's not sidewalks everywhere.
Right.
Well, there's that.
Trail.
And also, the Fairmont being as beautiful and luxurious and as well amenitied as it is, has a free shuttle.
It does.
It does.
Yeah.
So I was going to mention, that's a great point. Okay, so I looked it up. It's 2.2 miles.
Okay.
And in kilometers, it's 700 kilometers. I don't know that. It's like, so
approximately 1 million kilometers.
So the walk is about 50 minutes because, you do go down part of a state highway. Part of it doesn't have a sidewalk where there's little bridges. You can hop on a trail about 3/4 of the way or 2/3 of the way, which is the bike trail in the back. But you're right, there's a certain path. It's not nice. But
I would say go with the shuttle.
The shuttle, or there's a free bus as well, the Sonoma Shuttle, which runs from Sonoma County Transit. It's number 32. So if the Fairmont Shuttle is already gone, just walk outside and there's a bus stop, and that'll take you to the plaza. And that's a little circle. It's really nice. What's also nice about that is there are some great restaurants right outside the Fairmont. So you can, go get a taco and chill and wait for the bus and explore that neighborhood. Sonoma Eats is right across the street. It's one of my favorite places for enchiladas, but there's lots of choices there.
I can't recommend that area for food and entertainment more.
Right.
Because I think of El Molino Central.
Right there. Right.
Handmade tortillas,
right.
like with the lime
yeah, so
and
good.
the whole
spread.
And spread
is fantastic.
Spread is fantastic, and those are all you could throw
walk.
a rock and hit them,
from
right?
Kina's Kitchen, where you guys do your things. From Kina's to the Fairmont is a 1 mile walk. And I think there's 9 restaurants that you walk past.
It's
so
a lot.
you could.
Now you make me want to make the walk.
It's a great walk. Yeah, I want to do that one called Eat the Springs. And what we're going to do is we're going to stop. Animo is an incredible high-end restaurant that's been kind of food people know it, but there's no sign. It's in a former taco shop.
Yeah, they have 1.5 parking spaces.
Yeah, and the guy and the couple came out here and they slept in the restaurant while they were doing it and getting it open and stuff like that.
Yeah, but live fire cooking. There's a giant fire, and the thing about cooking over live fire, as as a chef, I can speak to this is it's wonderful. It's almost captivating. It's the same thing. It's the same reason you leave your fireplace screensaver on for 8 months during Christmas, and it's just stare at the fire.
That's right.
People look at the fire and it's is that an entire fish?
Yeah.
And it's just
he does a whole fish in there, right?
He does, and it's exquisite cuisine. It's really well done. There's parking out back, so don't let it daunt you at the front.
There is
2
parking
spaces
out
in the
back,
front, and there's a half dozen out back.
And within walking distance, it's actually
easy.
not that far.
Easy.
So it's funny people say that. I'm but within a half a block, there's plenty
It's worth
of
it.
parking.
He's truly masterful.
Okay, maybe I got to convince him to come on the podcast.
And his wife, who runs the front of the
fish.
house, is lovely. So it's a great experience.
You guys have answered my questions. You've done a good job. Maybe you guys can become volunteers in the visitor center, since you know all the answers.
Are the benefits good?
How's the benefits?
You get a free sticker that says "I love Sonoma Valley." Occasionally, a bottle of wine.
We get to hang out with you.
You get to hang out with me.
Okay, that sounds
good.
good.
And you get to wave at the buses. That's fun. Hey, what's up, bus? Final question.
Yep.
If someone was looking, I would like information about Musette. What is the website, and how do I get more information? So if someone's looking for more information about your business, how do I get that?
It would just be musea.org. So www.musea.org.
Okay.
And there's a spot for Musette on there.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's all right there.
Yep.
The easiest way to think about Musette is the MoMA. So you're the MoMA, and there's the MoMA store.
Right.
It's like the MoMA store.
Please exit through the gift shop. So although we're not next to each other, right? The gift shop isn't actually in the museum. So our physical campus out on Fremont Drive is a beautiful destination.
The museum per se.
Is the museum
and classroom
and the culinary
and
the gardens and the vineyards.
Okay.
And Musette is sort of like the museum store, and it's our place, not unlike your visitor center. It's our visitor center to interact with people and
when our guests come into
them
town,
who we are and how we go about it.
Thousands of guests per year.
We do.
Many thousands before the COVIDian era.
Right.
And so we start at there. So their check-in is at
the plaza. Got it. And I just say that you're there painting.
I'm there painting.
So it's also like you guys talk about I want to see art in action or creativity in action.
That's right.
People should show up and see that because when I walk in there, I see paint and I smell the paint and I see the canvases.
And Carrie Lee, our creative director, is there.
And she's also an artist,
She's
correct?
an artist, absolutely. Yeah. I do want to mention one other event that's coming in June. So it's the first weekend in June at the Sebastiani Theater. We are having a film festival with the Sonoma International Film Festival that is going to be featuring the artwork of Pratibha Parmar with special guest Alice Walker. So it's a focus on women.
Okay.
And so that's the first weekend in June, and it's a whole weekend. And so information is coming soon. We just had to get through the regular film festival.
Right, which
and
just
now
ended.
we're going to start focusing on that. So keep your eyes out for that.
Great. Thank you. Well, guys, again, if everyone listening wants to know more information, MUSEA, MUSEA.org. Org, O-R-G, is the place to go. And you can learn more about Jonathan and Shiloh and all that they're doing. You guys, thank you so much for showing up. It's been great to have you on the Sonoma Spiel. I'm really happy you came. So.
It's been fun being here.
Yeah, stop by and have a cup of tea.
I will. Thank you. And reminding everyone listening, first of all, give us a good review so other people will know about this podcast. Second of all, subscribe to the podcast. Third of all, if you have questions about Sonoma Valley, go to sonomavalley.com for information, deals, special events, and to find out all about our great arts and creativity community. Thank you very much, guys.